Hi. So the third test between West Indies and Australia kick-started at Sabina Park, that is the iconic Sabina Park at Jamaica yesterday. Yesterday was the first day, and what an eventful day we had. What a thrilling day we had. If anyone thought that this match would be a draw affair because the series has been already won by Australia 2-0 in the first two tests and the Frank Worrell Trophy has been decided, they were all mistaken because the test has started with a bang with a really thrilling first day in place. And the reason for that is the pitch. The curators have left fair amount of grass on the Sabina Park pitch, and the fact that this has been played in a day-night format for the first time with pink ball, which anyway assists seam bowling in most of the grounds, this has made Sabina Park as menacing or as spicy as the Sabina Park which we had all known in the 70s and 80s, where the pace quartet or the seam quartet of West Indies could create havoc among all the opponent teams and made the batters' lives miserable. And yesterday one felt that the same old Sabina Park was back. The seam movement was there, the pitch was fast, the ball was darting around, the bounce was sharp. So it was a paradise for the seamers, and in this case it was West Indian seamers who got the benefit because Australia won the toss and elected to bat. But interestingly, both the teams have gone with a slightly different approach. West Indies have gone with their usual four-pronged seam attack which they have been using in the first two tests with Summer Joseph, Algeri Joseph and Grips and Sales. At the same time, they have added a spinner into their squad and they have added Jomel Warikan because they believe that the ball will also take a little turn in the second or third day, which may be the case. But Australia is not agreeing to that strategy. They have gone with a completely different strategy for the first time, and God knows after how many years in the world of cricket we are seeing a team going with five-pronged seam attack. Yes, Australia has gone with a five-pronged seam attack. That means for the first time since 2013, they have decided to drop Nathan Lyon for the balance of the team which they want in terms of their seam attack. So yes, they have added Scott Boland to the already existing four-pronged seam attack from the last two tests, which was Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood and Webster, and they have added Boland, and they have in the process dropped Nathan Lyon for the first time on cricketing ground since 2012 when he made the debut. So it's since 2013 when he made his debut. That means in 12 years for the first time Nathan Lyon has been dropped. So it was a big decision by Australia, and the events of the first day clearly shows that maybe they are not wrong. Maybe this pitch is a real paradise for seamers and it will continue to be so because the grass is going to be there. The floodlights will be always coming on the day, every day for the 5 days if the match continues, and also there is plenty of seam movement and bounce. So the five-pronged seam attack can really enjoy for Australia against the batting attack of West Indies, which has been found out badly in the first two tests, which lacks the application and technique to play the world-class seam attack of Australia. Now coming to the test, Australia won the toss, they elected to bat, and at one stage they were looking comfortably placed at 157 for 3, but then they lost 7 wickets for 68 runs. So it was a batting collapse of an opposite kind because in the first two tests Australia was having in serious trouble because their top order batting was not going anywhere. They were getting exposed badly and they were losing the top order badly, and it was always a back to the wall kind of a fight back from the lower middle order and the tail enders, which used to give them the strength and the batting muscle, and that was responsible for them to pull away from the West Indian bowlers, and that was the reason how they could win the test matches. But this time just the reverse happened. This time there was a fairly decent opening partnership on a very difficult pitch. Constas tried to hang in, and even though he got out, then Khwaja in the company of Green gave stability, and they went into the first break in a decent position with just 1 wicket down. And then subsequently after Khwaja got dismissed, Smith and Green gave a lot of solidity, and they were looking very confident to take Australia to a good score on that pitch. But then both the batters got out in their 40s, and then that batting collapse happened, and for a change the lower middle order and tail could not contribute much, and Australia were dismissed for 225. Not an imposing total, not a formidable total, but looking at the pitch, looking at the condition, one knew that one has to wait for West Indian batting then to make a judgment whether that 225 is a subpar total or whether it is more than sufficient, because by the experience or by the history of this series, one cannot be confident that West Indies on that kind of a pitch can even match 225. But if they can match, then kudos to them. So yes, so anyway, Australia was dismissed for 25, and West Indies had a difficult task of managing 45 minutes of play against that 5-pronged seam attack with nothing to gain and a lot to lose. And unfortunately, they were also in a bizarre position so far as their opening combination is concerned, because they came into the test dropping Braithwaite, who had just played his 100 test last test, and he was dropped because West Indies felt that he was actually in bad corner so far as his form is concerned, and they needed to give him some break. So they got a new batter in his place in the form of Michael Lewis. So Michael Lewis and John Campbell were supposed to be their designated openers, but Michael Lewis had a had a rough knee while fielding in the outfield, and Campbell took a blow on the chest while fielding. So both the batters got injured and they were out of the fielding, so they could not come to take the opening slot when the match started. So that means even with two established openers, West Indies had to start their first innings on a tricky pitch against the world-class bowling attack with two makeshift openers, Brandon King, and on the other side they had a batter in Kevlon Anderson. And as it always happens, Stark has a knack of taking the first breakthrough very early. That is his ability, and he took Anderson's wicket to reduce West Indies to one down very soon. But thankfully, West Indian batters Brandon King and Rustin Chase, the captain, showed a lot of application to manage and to navigate the 9 tricky overs to end up with 16 for 1. Yes, it's not a big score, but they have handled that 45 minutes of tricky period well to lose only 1 wicket, which is a good start. But the real challenge would be today in the first session, and later if they survive, how they are going to handle the floodlights when they come out and the pink ball start to doing too much. So that would be the real test of West Indies. But so far they have handled it decently. They have 16 for 1, just 209 runs behind, but they have to bat much better. And another trouble for West Indies is that Alzarri Joseph had to pull out because of a bad back, and he has gone for a precautionary MRI, so his results will be out today. So if that turns out to be a real concern, then if he is out of the bowling, then West Indies in the second innings will be 1 bowler short. But anyway, they have decent bowling attack and they have been creating trouble for Australia. So the most important thing for them is to first concentrate on their batting and put up a good score, so that they don't have to do all the chasing from today onwards. So hopefully another exciting day is coming up today in the second day. Can't wait to watch that. Thank you.